Right, so we're kicking things off with Reform UK, their conference, and the leader, Nigel Farage, has relinquished ownership of the party. Have a listen.
I no longer need to control this party. I'm going to let go. We will change the structure of the party from one limited by shares to a company limited by guarantee. And that means it's the members of Reform that will own this party. I'm relinquishing control of the company.
OK, so big changes afoot at Reform UK. Their conference, of course, kicks off in Birmingham today. And our man on the ground, GBNews political editor, Christopher Hope, is there. Good morning, Christopher. What's the feeling like there today? And what is the sort of narrative the party's trying to push? Of course, we have the revelations there from Nigel Farage that the party's structure is being changed. What's the message they're trying to get out today?
Hi Ben, hi Nana. That's right. Welcome to Birmingham, the NEC, where Reform UK are about to welcome maybe 4,000 members here. I've been inside the auditorium. It is glitzy. It's as grand as I've seen in any political party. This party feels it's going somewhere. They've won 5 MPs in July's general election. They're targeting 2,000 candidates in next year's local elections. They want to win hundreds of seats there. We'll hear later from all those 5 MPs. Nigel Farage is up at 4 p.m. That'll be live on GB News, of course. Others, Richard Tice, he'll be making his speech. He's the deputy leader. He's going to accuse Ed Miliband, the climate change secretary, of being the most dangerous man in Britain. He says we are the only country, he says, to have all this oil and gas under our control and not be using it. Other countries are laughing at us. He says it's a gross negligence not to use fossil fuels to bring down gas and heating bills and the like and keep us warm this winter. Lee Anderson will say that he wants to get his country back. He'll say he looks back to a time when children were taught to be good citizens at school, not taught there could be a different agenda. He also will see, but he'll give us the boldest speech I've seen so far in the brief remarks. He'll be saying that if we win these hundreds of council seats in May, this party can win the 2029 general election. Now that is an extraordinary claim to make, probably unlikely. They've got 5 MPs at the moment. They need over 325 to win an election, but it shows the ambition of this party, if nothing else.
All right, Christopher, thank you very much. You'll keep us updated throughout the day. Right, let's get the thoughts of Brexiteer and businessman Ben Habib. Ben, you've been calling for the democratisation of the party for a while and the change of structure. Can you explain how the structure will change? Because Nigel Farage has relinquished his level of control within it. How does it work? What does this mean?
Yeah, so just to clarify for people who aren't familiar with the subject, the company that is Reform UK Limited is the political party. It has 15 shares and Nigel owns 9 of them. So Nigel effectively owns and controls Reform UK Limited, the private company, which is the political party. What Nigel has declared he will be doing is changing the nature of that company into one limited by guarantee, where he doesn't own the shares, but the membership effectively own the party, and that the party will be run pursuant to its new constitution, which Zia Yusuf revealed a couple of days ago.
Ben, thanks for joining us this morning. You tweeted yesterday, and I quote, "I have now read the new Reform UK constitution. I'll be letting you know the facts of it tomorrow morning. Anyone voting on it on Saturday needs to hear what I have to say." Aaron Banks, the former UKIP donor, replied to you and said, "How to spot a troublemaker who thinks he's important." What does he mean by that?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask Aaron what he thinks by that.
You've got no idea?
I've got no idea. I mean, he's obviously a great fan of Nigel's, but that's no reason to detract from the very reasonable representation that I made, that I read the document and I was going to give people my analysis. I'm the one, by the way, who's been pushing for the democratisation of the party. I was doing it privately for a long time, and I know Nana very validly has told me herself privately, Ben, keep these things private. But I kept it private for a long, long time until I could see the party wasn't moving in the direction required to democratize it. And I don't think you can be a serious political party with aspirations for government if you yourselves don't act in some democratic way. And when it became evident to me that my private pleadings were not going to bear fruit, I went public with my calls for the democratization of the party. And all credit, by the way, to GB and Christopher Hope, who, speaking to Zia Youssef on the 22nd of August, got Zia Youssef to confirm, and this is volunteered up by Zia, that he had the finest legal minds in the country working on the Constitution day and night, and that it would guarantee that members could remove Nigel. It would introduce the democratization of the party. And I tweeted then, I don't know if Aaron Banks responded to me at that point, but I tweeted then a note of congratulations to Zia and the party. But when I got the Constitution the other day, actually it was a rehashed document that I had rejected a year and a half ago with a few changes here and there, which couldn't have been made more than by a paralegal. It certainly had not had the finest legal minds in the country on it. The document is very largely a mess, and it doesn't deliver the ability of the membership to remove the leader. And let me just get one thing clear. I am not seeking the removal of Nigel Farage. This has got nothing to do with Nigel Farage. But any organization, whether it's political, private, governmental, if it has a leadership that cannot be held to account, that don't have checks and balances in place to ensure that they behave properly, and where the leadership don't recognize that they can be removed if they perform badly, that leadership and that organization will fail. So it is because I love that which Richard and I and others created, Reform UK. I love the ideology. I think it's the last bastion, if you like, of protection for the United Kingdom from the precipice that awaits the country if the Labour Party and the Tory Party continue to behave the way they are. Whilst I love Reform UK, if Reform UK is to save the country, then it must itself reform and become a proper political party. It's got to carry the movement with it, and it's got to nurture that movement and deliver on the promises it's made to that movement. And that can only happen if you've got an accountable leadership, and that can only happen if you've got a proper constitution. But I'm afraid the constitution that I reviewed the other day is not fit for purpose.
So Ben, do you see your future within Reform then?
I see my future right now, in the present and in the near future, as the conscience of Reform. I live and breathe Reform. I've put my life blood into it over the last couple of years. Richard and I took it. When I joined the party, we were polling 6%. By the time the general election came along, we were polling 16%. That's how Richard and I delivered the 5 MPs into office. But I will stand and hold the party to account, just like I hold anyone else to account if they're failing the country. I'd still be a Conservative Party member and donor if it wasn't for their repeated fundamental failures. Reform exists because the two establishment parties have so failed. And so we must ensure that Reform doesn't fall into the same pits. It doesn't make the same mistakes. And certainly if the party, let me just say one thing. If the party chairman has represented that the finest legal minds in the country have worked on this document and that it will enable members to remove the leader, then for goodness sake, make that happen. The people of this country are sick and tired of being given false promises and those promises being broken. And it's not a good start for Zia Youssef as chairman to make those representations on national television and then fail to deliver them.
Okay. Ben Habib, thank you very much. That's Ben Habib. He's at the Reform UK conference.